nobody expected this night to end in panic. Because just minutes before everything went wrong, Cardi B was doing what she always does, commanding the stage, controlling the crowd, owning every single second like nothing could stop her. The energy was electric. The crowd was screaming. Everything felt perfect until it didn't. Because what happened next? It wasn't part of the show, it wasn't scripted, and it definitely wasn't something fans were ready to witness. According to multiple people backstage, the moment Cardi stepped off the stage, something immediately felt off. At first it was subtle, just a slight pause, a shift in her posture, a look that didn't match the confidence she had just shown moments earlier. But within seconds, that subtle moment turned into something serious. Because without warning, right there, and behind the curtain, Cardi B reportedly collapsed. And when we say collapsed, we mean completely. The kind of fall that instantly sends shock through everyone in the room. The kind of moment where the music fades, the energy drops, and panic takes over. People started shouting, crew members rushed in, and suddenly everything turned chaotic. But here's where it gets even more emotional. Because just seconds after it happened, Offset was seen rushing toward her. And what witnesses are saying about his reaction, it's something fans have never seen before. No cameras, no performance, no persona, just raw emotion. Because insiders claim Offset didn't just look concerned. He broke down, tears, panic, desperation. The kind of reaction that tells you this wasn't just another health scare. This was something that truly shook him. And the most chilling part? There are whispers that Cardi had been showing signs earlier that night. Signs that something wasn't right. Signs that maybe, just maybe, this could have been prevented. But no one acted in time. Now, with rumors spreading, footage being talked about, and fans demanding answers, one question is taking over the internet. What really happened backstage that caused Cardi B to collapse? And why is Offset's reaction being described as terrifyingly real? Because what we're about to uncover next might reveal that this situation is a lot more serious than anyone initially thought. To understand why this moment hit so hard, you have to understand the story behind Cardi B and Offset. Because this isn't just any couple, this is one of the most talked about, most unpredictable, and most emotionally intense relationships in the entire industry. From the very beginning, their story has been filled with highs that felt untouchable and lows that felt impossible to recover from. We're talking surprise proposals on stage, public breakups, cheating allegations, emotional reunions, and moments where fans genuinely believed it was over for good. But every time things fell apart, they somehow found their way back to each other. And that's what made them different. That's what made people stay invested. Because no matter how messy things got, no matter how loud the drama became, there was always this underlying feeling that their connection was real. Raw, unfiltered, and impossible to ignore. But here's the part people don't always talk about. Because while fans were watching the relationship play out online, celebrating the love, reacting to the drama, behind the scenes, things were never as simple as they looked. Being in the spotlight like that, constantly judged, constantly analyzed, it puts pressure on everything, on communication, on trust, on mental and physical health. And according to insiders, that pressure had been building for a while, especially for Cardi. Because over the past few months, there have been quiet whispers, nothing too loud at first, nothing officially confirmed, but enough to make people start asking questions. Reports of exhaustion, comments about overworking, moments where fans noticed she didn't seem like herself. At first, people brushed it off. She's just tired. She's grinding. She's always been like this. But then, more moments started adding up. Clips where her energy seemed slightly off, like interviews where she looked drained, and subtle comments she made that, at the time, didn't seem like a big deal. But now, they're being looked at differently. Because in one resurfaced clip, Cardi joked about pushing herself too hard and not getting enough rest. Back then, it sounded like a normal comment. Now, it feels like a warning. And here's where Offset comes into the picture. Because while Cardi has always been known for her strength, her energy, her ability to push through anything, people close to the situation say Offset has been one of the few who actually saw what was happening behind the scenes. The fatigue, the pressure, the moments where she needed to slow down. And allegedly, he had been telling her exactly that. To rest, to take a break, to ease up before things got worse. But Cardi? She's never been the type to slow down. Not when there's work to do. Not when there are expectations to meet. Not when millions of people are watching. And that's where the tension may have started. Because imagine this. One person pushing forward, refusing to stop. And the other watching, worried, knowing something might go wrong, but unable to fully control the situation. That kind of dynamic, it creates pressure. And according to insiders, that pressure had been building quietly in the background for weeks. There were even rumors that the night of the performance, the night everything went wrong, wasn't supposed to happen the way it did. Some sources claim Cardi had considered canceling. Others say there were last-minute discussions about her condition. Nothing confirmed, but enough to raise eyebrows. And if that's true, then what happened backstage wasn't just random. It was something that had been building. Something that might have been preventable. And suddenly, Offset's reaction starts to make a lot more sense. Because if he had already been worried, if he had already seen signs, if he had already tried to warn her, then watching her collapse like that wouldn't just be shocking, it would be devastating. And that's exactly what witnesses are describing. Because they say the moment he saw her go down, everything changed. The calm disappeared. The control vanished, and the emotion, it took over completely. But what exactly happened in those seconds backstage? What did people see that made them describe the moment as chaotic and terrifying? And what detail did one insider reveal that has fans now questioning whether this situation could have been avoided entirely? Because once you hear what went down next, you'll understand why this story is getting more intense by the minute. What actually happened backstage was way more intense than anyone expected. Because according to multiple insider accounts, the moment Cardi B stepped off that stage, she didn't just look tired, she looked disoriented. At first it was small, subtle. She slowed down, her steps weren't as steady, and one crew member reportedly asked her if she was okay. But before she could even respond properly, it happened. Her body gave out, and she collapsed. Right there. No warning, no time to react. Just 1 second she was standing, and the next, on the ground. And that's when everything turned into chaos. Crew members rushed in from all directions. Someone shouted for medical. Another person yelled to clear the area, and for a few seconds nobody knew what to do, because nobody expected this. But then, Offset saw it. And what witnesses are saying about his reaction? It completely changed the tone of the situation, because instead of staying composed, instead of stepping back and letting the team handle it, Offset ran straight toward her, pushing past people, ignoring instructions, calling her name over and over, and according to someone who claims they were just feet away, his voice didn't sound like a performer. It sounded like someone panicking. Real panic, the kind that comes from fear, not confusion. Because insiders say he dropped to his knees beside her trying to get a response. Cardi, look at me. But she wasn't responding the way people expected. And that's what made it worse. Because now this wasn't just a fainting moment. This was something more serious. Something that made even the medical staff move faster. And then came the moment that people can't stop talking about. Because as medics were trying to stabilize her, Offset reportedly started breaking down. Not quietly, not controlled. Fully emotional. Tears, shaking, visibly overwhelmed. And for someone known for keeping a certain image, that moment hit people hard. Because there were no cameras meant to capture that. No performance. No persona. Just raw emotion. And that's when the first twist drops. Because while everyone was focused on Cardi, a detail started spreading online that changed everything, according to a crew member who later spoke anonymously. There had been a moment earlier in the night, a warning sign. They claim that before the performance even started, Cardi had already told someone she wasn't feeling 100%. Nothing extreme, just off, lightheaded, a little weak. And here's the shocking part. They still went ahead with the show. Now, this hasn't been officially confirmed, but if it's true, then this situation becomes a lot more complicated. Because now people are asking, why wasn't the show delayed? Why wasn't she pulled back? Who made that call? And did anyone underestimate how serious it actually was? Because suddenly, this isn't just about a collapse anymore. It's about a decision. A moment where something could have been handled differently, but wasn't. And the internet picked up on that fast. People started digging, looking for clips, searching for any sign that something was wrong before she stepped on stage. And that's when a fan-recorded video started circulating. A short clip, just a few seconds long, but enough to raise eyebrows. In the video, Cardi is performing, but if you watch closely, there's a moment where she pauses slightly. A fraction of a second. Almost like she's catching herself at the time nobody noticed. Now, it feels like a clue, a sign that something wasn't right. And once that clip started spreading, the narrative shifted again. Because now people weren't just reacting emotionally, yet they were analyzing, questioning, digging deeper. And then came another layer because rumors started surfacing that right before she went on stage, there was a quiet disagreement backstage between Cardi and someone on her team. Details unclear. Invoices not confirmed. But multiple sources claim it happened. And if that's true, then what we saw wasn't just a health scare. It might have been the result of pressure, of pushing through something that shouldn't have been pushed through. And that makes Offset's reaction even more powerful. Because if he knew, if he had concerns, if he saw the signs before anyone else, then watching it all unfold in front of him like that, that's not just emotional, that's devastating. But just when people thought they understood what happened, another detail started to emerge, a detail that doesn't just add to the story, it complicates it. Because according to new whispers online, there may have been something else involved that night. Something people haven't fully uncovered yet. And if that part turns out to be true, then this situation is about to take a turn no one is ready for. Just when people thought the situation couldn't get any more intense, that's when things went from emotional to explosive. Because while the internet was still processing the footage, debating what happened, and reacting to Offset breaking down, a new detail surfaced, and this one, it didn't just add to the story, it flipped it. According to multiple anonymous accounts claiming to be connected to the event, there was something happening backstage that night that nobody on the outside knew about. Something that had nothing to do with performance, and everything to do with pressure. Because one insider post, one that quickly went viral, claimed that just minutes before Cardi B took the stage, there was a tense conversation involving her team. Not loud, not public, but serious. The kind of conversation where voices stay low, but the energy is high. And according to that post, the topic wasn't just about the show, it was about whether she should even be performing at all. Now think about that. If that's true, then the decision for her to go on stage wasn't automatic. It was debated, questioned, maybe even pushed. And that raises a bigger question. Who made the final call? Because if Cardi wasn't feeling right, if there were already signs, if concerns were being discussed, then someone had to decide, go or stop. And according to these rumors, they chose to go. But here's where it gets even more complicated, because shortly after that post started spreading, another clip surfaced. This one wasn't from the stage, and it wasn't from the moment she collapsed. It was from backstage, right before everything happened. The clip is short, blurry, shaky, but clear enough to catch one specific moment. Cardi is seen standing with a small group around her. She looks focused, but there's something else, something subtle. She shifts her weight slightly, brings a hand to her side, and for a split second, her expression changes. It's quick, almost unnoticeable. But now that people are re-watching it, they're calling it a red flag because it doesn't look like confidence, it looks like discomfort. And once that clip hit the internet, everything escalated because now people had visual proof to match the rumors. And the narrative started shifting fast, from sympathy to questions, from concern to accountability. Because suddenly, this wasn't just about what happened. It was about what led up to it. And then came the shocking reveal. Because a well-known entertainment blogger, someone with a history of dropping controversial but sometimes accurate insider info, posted something that sent shockwaves through social media. The post claimed, "This wasn't just exhaustion. Y'all gonna find out soon what really caused that collapse." No explanation, no details, just that. And within minutes, the internet went into overdrive. Because what does that even mean? If it wasn't just exhaustion, then what was it? People started speculating wildly. Was it stress? Was it something medical? Was it something external? Every theory imaginable started circulating. And the lack of answers? It made everything worse. Because when there's a vacuum of information, rumors take over. And that's exactly what happened. Threads started popping up, breaking down every second of every clip. Fans zooming in, analyzing body language, comparing it to past performances, looking for patterns, looking for clues, trying to piece together something that no one has officially confirmed. And while all of this was happening, Offset's reaction kept coming back into focus. Because people couldn't ignore it. The panic, the tears, the urgency. And many are now asking, did he know something the public didn't? Because his reaction didn't look like someone who was surprised. It looked like someone who was afraid. Afraid of something he might have already been worried about. Afraid of something that might have been building long before that moment. And if that's true, then this situation goes deeper than anyone realized. Yeah, because now it's not just about a collapse. It's about what caused it, and whether the signs were there all along, but just when the speculation reached its peak, when the internet was at its loudest, when the story felt like it couldn't get any bigger, another wave of reactions started pouring in, not just from fans, but from inside the industry itself. And what they're saying, it's adding a whole new layer to this story that no one saw coming. The moment that bloggers' post went viral, everything exploded. Because now this wasn't just fans reacting anymore. This was the entire industry watching. And once the conversation shifted from what happened to what caused it, people started speaking up, fast. Social media turned into a war zone. On one side, you had fans defending Cardi B with everything they had. She's been working nonstop. Of course her body gave out. Y'all forget she's human. This is what overworking looks like. Stop blaming her. Blame the pressure around her. These supporters weren't just showing love. They were angry. Angry at the industry. Angry at the expectations. Angry at the idea that someone could be pushed to this point. But on the other side, the tone got a lot more intense. Because critics started asking uncomfortable questions. Why was she even on stage if she wasn't okay? Who's managing her schedule? This doesn't just happen out of nowhere. And just like that, the narrative split. Was this an unfortunate health scare? Or a situation that should have been prevented? And right in the middle of it all? Offset. Because his reaction became a story on its own. Clips of him breaking down started circulating, some real, some exaggerated, but all pushing the same image. A man completely overwhelmed, and fans couldn't ignore it. Because this wasn't the Offset they were used to seeing. This wasn't the calm, composed persona. This was raw, emotional, unfiltered. And people started connecting dots. He knew something wasn't right. You can tell this wasn't a surprise to him. That's not panic. That's fear. And once those conversations started, they didn't stop. Because now Offset wasn't just reacting to the moment, he became part of the mystery. Did he know more than the public? Did he try to stop her from performing? Was he already worried before everything went wrong? And just like that, the spotlight shifted. But then the industry stepped in, and that's when things reached another level. Because once insiders, artists, and media personalities started reacting, the tone changed completely. One anonymous tour manager posted, "This is exactly why artists need protection from their own schedules." Another insider wrote, "People don't realize how often this almost happens. This time it just went too far." And then came the post that really shook things. A verified artist, someone who's worked closely around high-pressure tours, tweeted, "Y'all calling it a moment, I'm calling it a warning." No names, no direct mention. But the message? Clear and powerful. Because now this wasn't just about Cardi, it was about the entire system. The pressure, the expectations, the constant demand to perform, no matter what. And once that angle entered the conversation, it spread fast. Media outlets picked it up. Headlines started shifting. Fans concerned. After Cardi B Backstage collapse, Offset's emotional reaction raises questions. Was this preventable? Industry debate heats up. And just like that, this story wasn't just trending. It became a discussion, a debate. A moment that people were analyzing from every angle, and yet, through all of it, one thing remained the same. Silence. No official statement, no clear explanation, no confirmation of what actually happened. Just speculation. And that silence, it started to feel intentional. Because the longer it continued, the louder the rumors got, the more theories spread, the more people questioned everything. And now, the biggest question of all is starting to take over. What are they not telling us? Because at this point, it's not just about what we saw, it's about what we're not seeing. And just when it feels like the story can't get any more intense, something else surfaces. Something that doesn't just add to the mystery, it changes everything all over again. Just when it felt like the situation couldn't get any more intense. Just when people thought they had reached the limit of speculation, that's when the final twist hit. And this one? It didn't just shock fans. It made everything feel way more serious. Because early the next morning, while the internet was still debating, still arguing, still searching for answers, a new piece of information quietly surfaced. No big headline, no official announcement. Just a small update that started spreading fast. According to a source claiming to be connected to the venue, after Cardi B collapsed backstage, she didn't just receive quick medical attention and bounce back. No. They say she was rushed out immediately. No delay, no waiting. Straight out. And not in a calm, controlled way. In a way that made people there realize this was more serious than anyone thought. Now here's where it gets even more unsettling. Because multiple people are claiming that during that moment, Offset didn't leave her side. Not for a second. From the moment she went down, to the moment she was taken out, he stayed right there. And according to one witness, there was a moment where Offset said something that hasn't left people's minds since. A quiet line, but powerful. They should have listened. That's it. No explanation, no context, just those 3 words. And once that detail started circulating, everything changed again. Because now the conversation isn't just about what happened. It's about what was ignored, and what warnings were missed. What decisions were made that maybe shouldn't have been. And suddenly, all those earlier rumors, the fatigue, the possible warning signs, the backstage discussion, they all start to connect. And people are asking a question that's getting louder by the minute. Was this preventable? But just when you think that's the biggest twist, another detail surfaces. And this one? It takes things to a completely different level. Because later that day, a cryptic post appeared from an account that has, in the past, been linked to people close to high-profile artists. And what they said? It sent chills through social media. The post read, This ain't just about last night, there's more coming. And when it drops, everything changes. No names, no specifics, but the timing, too perfect. And the wording, too deliberate. Because now people aren't just focused on the collapse anymore. They're waiting. Waiting for what's coming next. Waiting for what might be revealed. Waiting for something bigger. And here's the part that makes it even more intense. Because up until now, neither Cardi B nor Offset has addressed any of this directly. No statement, no clarification, no denial, just silence. And at this point, that silence feels louder than anything they could say. Because it leaves room. Room for theories. Room for speculation. Room for one final question that's now taking over the internet. Is this just a health scare? Or is this the beginning of something much bigger behind the scenes? Because if what insiders are hinting at is true, then what happened backstage? Might just be the first piece of a story we haven't fully uncovered yet. And trust me, if another detail drops, if another clip surfaces, if another voice speaks out, this entire situation could flip again, in a way no one is ready for. Now I need you to tell me what you think, because this situation has the entire internet divided, and nobody can agree on what really happened. Do you think Cardi B was simply overworked and pushed too far? Or do you believe there's something deeper going on behind the scenes that we haven't been told yet? And what about Offset? Do you think his reaction was just pure emotion in the moment? Or does it feel like he knew something wasn't right before everything went wrong? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. I'm telling you, this is one of those stories where every opinion matters, and if you've made it this far, you already know this isn't just another viral moment. This is something that's still unfolding, so make sure you hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because the second another update drops, the second new footage surfaces, or the moment anyone breaks their silence, you already know we're bringing it straight to you, and trust me, this story, it's far from over.